it's an emergency because we've got a rat to discuss. Anyway, before we get into it, make sure to get your comments in. Make sure to hit like. Make sure to hit subscribe as well. Bilal El Khannouss. So, yeah, Ragsy. What are your thoughts on this, mate? Because so obviously we all know the backstory, but just for some context, his release clause expired on the 15th of August, I think it was. That was revealed by Owen Palmer-Atkin to be in the region, and Percy to be in the region of 30. No one met it. Then there were negotiations after that from Crystal Palace to try and sign Bilal El Khannouss, again in the region apparently of 30 to 35 million pounds. And we found out that yesterday from Rob Dorset that Leicester City have satisfied PSR, so they no longer have to sell. And because of that, it seems Leicester are playing a little bit hardball with Bilal El Khannouss, as they should with a player that signed a 4-year contract a year ago. And he now seems to be kicking up a fuss. We heard initially this morning, Ragsy, from Sasha, who's an inside mole in Bilal's rodent camp, that Bilal was going to, if he needed to, watch from the stands this season. Bullshit, first of all. And he's now done a little social media thing, a Damari Gray special, as I like to call it, Ragsy, having a bit of fun on social media. He's changed his Instagram picture to just black, which, for any of the oldies and the boomers in the chat, if you don't know what that means, is it's what the young footballers do these days when they're not happy at their club, or if they're they're mardy about something. They change their colour, they change their profile picture to a black screen. So he changed it back as well. I know, John, he changed it back. So
yeah. I've got to say, up until this point, I actually think Bilal was acting fairly professional. I think he was left out of the team, like in the squad, just for that whole situation, because I thought the talks with Palace were progressing. Look, he's a talented player, and we all knew he was going to gather like a load of interest from everywhere, and we'd be sitting here ourselves and thinking we'd be pretty lucky if we were able to keep him this window. But yeah, like I just think with the profile picture change, like it's nothing new that we've seen. Like, look at Isaac, look at Wissa. Like, it is just players nowadays, and like what I will say is I think there is a bit of an overreaction here in regards to we don't know the full situation from his side. At the minute, it's Sasha who was saying talks were progressing with Palace, and then they fell to shit, like Dorset has reported. So don't just believe him. Like, gather a whole load of intel from different sources. That's what I will say before you make a judgment. And it's difficult because, like, with the profile picture change, like, that is a bit. Yeah, come on, that's childish. That's childish, really. It's
Yeah, look, the social media stuff, right? I don't think he controls it. I think he's got somebody doing it for him, if you know what I mean. So probably his agent or somebody's controlling that. So I just think, look, he's 21 years old. He's probably got a chip on his shoulder, thinks he's better than he actually is, and trying to force a move. But I think if he does end up staying, I'm not with the argument that he shouldn't play for us and all that good stuff. I think he'll end up playing for us. He's just kicking his toys out of the pram right now, as kids do. He's 21 years old, new to the country as well. So I think he'll settle in just fine. I think he gets on with Abdul quite well. He's just kicking his toys out of the pram, mate. I think we shouldn't be reading too much into it just yet. But your insights might be correct, right? Your prediction might be right that he's a rat, but I'll make that final conclusion on deadline day next Monday if he's a rat or not.
Yeah, well, you might have to wait till beyond that, mate. You might have to see if he plays the first game after that. But
look, he was terrible against Preston. Like, I was at the Preston game. The whole team was awful. But he was totally out of sorts on the Preston game, and I can see why he was dropped against Charlton.
Well, yeah, and he got dragged at half time, didn't he?
And he missed a penalty against Huddersfield as well, right? So I think Cifuentes is probably a good judge of character as well. He probably knew his head's not in the right space and then just said, right, I'm not playing you. It could have been as simple as that, right? But if he has refused to play, then of course I think he's going to take the full wrath of the fans when if that story is true. But you're right, the club might be trying to conceal it, or the manager might be trying to concealing it. But I don't know. I think he's okay. I think he plays with passion. He works hard on the pitch. He wants to play football. You can see that. I think his head's just spinning right now. That's all. He got relegated. He's probably saying, I want to stay in the Premier League or, go to a bigger club. But I think once the transfer window is over and he's still with us, he'll knuckle down and keep playing. I'm quite positive about his attitude for sure. Maybe he's just, like I said, keep saying it. He's just throwing his toys out of the pram at the moment. And look, Locks, we were all 21 years old once as well, weren't we?
Although we weren't earning 50 grand a week, were we, mate? We weren't earning 50 grand a week. Anywhere, don't go anywhere. We have one more. It's a triple threat tonight, or a foursome. Anyway, here is the fourth. Hey, there we go. What's going on? How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
All good. Right, Kate. It's been a interesting discussion tonight with the chat. This one, it appears to be very split in the live chat. So I want to get your thoughts. I did have to educate you earlier on what blacking out the profile picture on Instagram means. But talk to me. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on all of this?
It just feels a little bit little man syndrome, and a guy that is quite confused about what he wants to do with his future. Because as far as I'm concerned, like a couple of weeks ago, Bilal wasn't an unhappy Leicester player. He wasn't desperate to get out. There was no signs at all of any unrest, of any drops in performances or turning up at training issues or anything like that, or clashes with management. This seems to be a kid that's being played about by some yes men around him, unfortunately. And we see it time and time again. I'm not sure necessarily that these people have the players' best interests at heart. And also, they haven't learnt the life lesson is that when you're an asset of a football club, you can only go really if all parties agree. And he had a release clause, which, a lot of players don't have that luxury, and his agent didn't execute that in time. So that's just the way it goes. And now we've got a bit more power, and I only say a little bit in terms of getting some decent money in over and above the release clause, and he just has to sit it out. But yeah, it's a sad state of play, and it seems to get worse. But yeah, you did educate me on the blacking out earlier.
Yeah, I mean, Clemo says here, Mr. Agent wants his fat paycheck. Would you maybe agree with that slightly?
Well, yeah, it's heavily incentivized and unethical in terms of football agents. I mean, that's always been the case, and it's probably even more rife now, particularly as it's not really as obvious as it once was. Meeting Big Sam in a hotel lobby with a bottle of whiskey is kind of days gone by. It's probably much more underhand now and much more behind closed doors. But yeah, I mean, he has to question himself if he's kicking his toys about or throwing them out the pan because he hasn't got his move to Palace. If it was a better team than that, then potentially, but you have to take a long, hard look at yourself and think you're throwing your toys out the pram over Palace. So yeah, I think it's a bit of little man syndrome here, to be honest.
Danky says, why can't people see the reason why he wasn't kicking up a fuss a few weeks ago is because he had plenty of options. They're running out now, and he's now panicking and showing his true colours. Maybe so. I think the PFA get involved and the PFA protect them, which is their job, the PFA. That's their job, to look after the players. But I just think that you're not allowed to. So, because you'd think, right, like with Isak at Newcastle, right, there's a serious situation going on there. It should be quite simple. Newcastle demand a fee. It doesn't get paid by Liverpool, so they keep him. And every game, every week where he doesn't show up, he doesn't get his money. Do you know what I mean? It should be that simple. If you're not showing up to training, if you're not putting yourself forward to play, you don't earn a single penny until you start. And so it's like me in UK. If we just didn't show up to work and just stopped working because we don't like our job or whatever, right? I'm not saying you don't, but I'm saying if you did and you just didn't show up, eventually you just get the sack. You wouldn't be paid, right? So it's crazy, but I think there are rules and laws around it so that the players still get paid. which is it's crazy. It's crazy, really.
But
But what are your
it works in the other way at the other end of the spectrum. Like a guy I went to school with who used to play for Leicester Boys actually a long time ago. He played for Darlington, Oldham, those kind of things. And I think it was at Oldham. I think he was frozen out by the manager at the time, and he was on 50 grand a year, and the transfer window closed and he just got stuck. He was completely stuck. For those types of players in those types of leagues, it can, because a lot of his pay was made up of playing bonuses. So if you're frozen out and you're on a very modest sum of money every year, it can be really, really financially destabilizing. Whereas these types of players, when they're on that kind of money, I think there should be a bit more give and take when it costs the club so much to pay your wages. And, you know, a lot of these players that we're talking about, their contracts are responsible for our PSR issues. And I know that we put the contracts in place, but the monetary value of those contracts is what's got us into problems in the first place. And there should be some leeway, particularly when we've got the PSR issue, that you should be able to, there should be flexibility within the contracting term.
Yeah. It's just one of these situations.
Player power trumps everything. It's a mess.
Well, you don't, and it's the last thing you need during the season, which it is. We are now in the season. We you know, we've played 3 games. We've got another one on in 48 hours. We kick off literally nearly to the minute. So. And we're expecting him not to play, right? We're expecting him, you know, as long as the window's open and he's still here. Who knows if he does stay, what happens the week after or the week after that? But as long as the window's open, Kate, and he's still here, I don't see him featuring at all.
No, I don't either, because Marty seems to be the type of manager that if your head's not in it, you're not going to play, and that's why we've seen Winks sidelined a bit. It's why we've seen Woot sidelined a bit, obviously, as well. And then why we've seen now Bilal was hooked against Preston and then he didn't feature. So Marty wants you're all or nothing with Marty. So it'd be interesting to see how he deals with a stink in the camp. If that's what's happening, he may just be keeping his head down and making these really passive aggressive, stupid stuff on social media. I hate passive aggressive. Just come out and be aggressive. Don't be passive about it. Just grow a pair and say, this is what I want, and put it on social media if you want. Don't use blackout stuff, for goodness sake.